teapots. If the Argoid and Chromatic can follow these tricky, the rest of the universe certainly can. Yes, it took a few millennia, but better late than never, eh? Frankly, I'm thrilled to see that the Argoid even still exists. The last I saw them, they were a dying species, and I was about 759 years old. Well, before they aged me 500 years in their tachyon recreation generator. But got that all sorted out in the end, though. Hey, a lot of jolly babies are not back to the TARDIS. Did you know? You're right, sorry. Anyway, where to next? Oh, I should take you to 4X Alpha 4. Extragalactic star system, actually outside the galaxy. Host of Earth. Lovely place. Look like attractive humans, but are in fact androids. Help me once with the Daleks.
Doctor, what's going on?
Not to worry. This has happened before. These people aren't really here. The TARDIS is just projecting. The dimensional stabilizer must have overheated again. The good news is, she just needs to be in an atmosphere that can absorb solar radiation so she can cool off, such as Earth's atmosphere. I can give the Helmick regulator a kick and borrow some extra power from the Brio nebulizer so we can get there.
And the bad news?
There's a tiny, small, eensy-weensy chance the TARDIS engines could severely destabilize along the way if the dimensional stabilizer gets too hot. Well, basically. Boom. When or where, due to the wibbly-wobbliness of radiation levels in the TARDIS as they normalize. I don't get it. You never do. So, who's up for a little exploring, eh?
What are you and who are you doing here? Is that right?
No.
Do I owe you money? Is this about money? Do I owe you something?
No, nothing like that. We're just visiting the neighborhood. Hello, I'm the doctor. This is Amy and Rory. Nice to meet you, Mr.
Oh, you can call me Edgar.
It's Edgar Allan Poe.
A drunk Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, it's not just nice to meet you then, it's a real treat. Okay. It's all right. Almost. There, big fella. What's troubling you? Maybe I can help. I'm good at helping. Also good at getting into trouble, but to be fair, the two usually go hand in hand.
You can do nothing! She's dead!
Who?
My dear wife, Virginia.
I'm so sorry.
My dear cousin has left me utterly and bitterly alone.
Didn't you just say your wife died?
My wife is also my cousin!
So glad I wasn't born in this time period.
Aw, cheer up, bucko. I mean, you're Edgar Allan Poe. You're a brilliant, successful writer. Famous.
Me? A success? My work may be fairly popular, but I've always struggled financially. This is why not many people earn a living through writing alone. This romantic movement is not as poetic as it sounds.
Quite admirable of you, though. Got to give yourself some credit, eh?
Hardly. Writing has just been my passion, my obsession, the only thing that's never abandoned me. My father left my family a year after I was born. My mother died of consumption a year later. And now tuberculosis has also taken my wife. I have no children. Even my previous fiancée, Elmira Royster, left me for another man.
Oh, hello. How did I miss this? The lights are flickering, but I don't see any gas labs. There are, however, light bulbs? So, light bulbs weren't invented until 1879. It's 1847, am I right, Edgar?
Well, yes, it is 1847, but we've had electricity for about 3 years now.
Right. So, Amy, Rory, stay here. here, get to know our friend Edgar. I'm just going to do a little poking around.
You never just poke around, Doctor.
I'm sure everything is fine, and I'll be back before you can say Rex Corca Valpatorius. Have fun, you three.
So, Edgar, what have you been writing lately?
I wrote a poem called The Raven a couple years ago, and I've drawn considerable crowds with the lectures I've been giving since moving to New York in 1844. But I haven't been able to write for months now that I'm lost without my Virginia.
How about you tell us some of your happy memories? Focus on the good, yeah?
I'm afraid I don't have many happy memories, Miss Amy. I was born in January 1809 in Boston, Massachusetts, and as previously stated, was orphaned in 1811. My foster parents, John and Frances Allen, took me in, but I was separated from my older brother William, who is now dead, and my younger sister Rosalie, who I rarely see. I had a pleasant relationship with my foster mother, but she too died of tuberculosis in February of 1829. My relationship with John Allen had always been quite quarrelsome, and we hadn't spoken in years.
Why did you two fall out?
Just too different when it comes down to it, I suppose. John Allen was a wealthy tobacco merchant in Richmond, Virginia, where he raised me. And having no children myself, I think he rather hoped I would take over the business. At any rate, he never staked his disapproval of my desire to become a writer. When I left to attend university at the University of Virginia in 1826, he did not even provide me with sufficient funds. I gambled quite frequently in order to make extra money, but soon found myself poorer than ever in massive debt. So despite the fact I was excelling in all my classes, I was forced to drop out.
Ah, bad luck, mate.
It doesn't end there. As you know, my fiancée at the time left me, so I had nothing to keep me in Virginia. I was a youthful, 18-year-old, strong, able chap, so I enlisted in the Army to pay off my debts, while also managing to publish my first book, Tamerlane. Things went decently enough for the next 2 years, and I didn't see John Allen at all during that time until returning to Richmond for my foster mother's funeral. When I did see him, he was surprisingly quite amiable towards me. He even helped me gain entry into the elite military academy at West Point. His kindness turned out to be merely a front, however. I won't bore you with the details, but suffice it to say, we never spoke again after West Point. I purposely flunked out about 8 months anyway, realizing both my heart and mind were solely devoted to writing.
Where did you go?
I moved to Baltimore, Maryland. Had a few relatives there, you see. It was actually where I met Virginia. Started getting my short stories published regularly enough, and eventually earned an editorial position at the Southern Literary Messenger magazine. But it was menial pay and menial work. So, when I was 27 and Virginia was 13, we married and I moved to New York City in hopes of finding more success. However, after a year, it was clear it was time to move on yet again, so we settled in Philadelphia. It was now 1838.
Did you have better luck in Philadelphia?
In a sense, yes. I published my first collection of short stories in a book titled Tales of the Grotesque and Arabesque. It served to finally make my name somewhat famous. People liked the stories of the macabre and mysterious, and I was always drawn to the darker side of humanity. Yet, the fact still remains, famous or not, a writer is cursed to live a life of poverty. But Virginia and I were in love. I was doing what I loved, and so poverty was bearable.
I'm sensing your happiness didn't last.
We'd only been in Philadelphia 4 years when Virginia fell ill. Perhaps she would have been better off if we stayed put. But I'd never been one to stop searching for new opportunities, and I suppose I also felt helpless and restless due to this misfortune. So we moved back to New York City. I continued to write steadily, publishing more short stories such as The Telltale Heart and The Oval Portrait, but eventually came to terms with the fact that Virginia was not going to conquer her illness and moved to a cottage in the country. This cottage. She died this past winter. She was 24 years old.
I'm so sorry.
Forgive me. You've caught me at perhaps my darkest hour. Please excuse me while I make myself more presentable.
Hey, take a look at this. Just pulled up a biography on Poe's life.
You get internet access here?
It's only going to be alive for another couple of years. It's going to leave for a lecture tour taking him through Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Virginia, Maryland, but he'll never make it to Philadelphia. Have a lot of failed romances along the way, and his drinking will worsen. He's going to vanish for 5 days before returning from the ballroom of the polling house. He'll get sent to Washington College Hospital, but he'll die there on October 7th, 1849, making him only 40 years old. No one ever determined the cause of death.
Isn't it obvious? A broken heart.
Holmes! You've got to come and see this!